I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. Welcome to the show, guys. Yo, you can get us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Deezer, Vimeo, Roku, Amazon Fire, Yaya Diamond TV, Yaya Diamond's Dream Chasers Radio. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And hang on, hit that notification bell and like this video so that YouTube knows that I'm doing a good job. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Yes, we have a speaker. We have a fellow YouTuber on the show today. I am so excited to have him. But before we do, have you ever thought about becoming a motivational speaker? Do you have motivation? Do you lack motivation? Is motivation a foreign word to you, or do you know what motivation is? All these questions are great, but let's go ahead and talk about motivation. You guessed it. Welcome to the show. Please tell everybody who you are and what your YouTube channel is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me. So my name is Brenden Kumarasamy. I'm the founder of MasterTalk, which is a YouTube channel I started to help the world master the art of communication and public speaking. Though you probably don't need the information in my channel, but for everyone listening who want to be like you and who want to share their ideas with the world without fear or judgment, that's what I make the videos for.
You know, you'd be surprised. I'm going to tell you something I've never done. I've always done radio. I've been on FM radio. I've been on AM radio. I've been on videos. I've been on TV. I've been in movies. I've done all of that. But I've never had the opportunity to stand in front of a crowd and talk to them.
Really?
Nope.
That's amazing. Well, I definitely think you have the skill set to speak in front of a crowd too, if that's ever something to do.
Yeah. It's not a big deal. It's the same thing as singing, except you're talking. I can do that. Tell me okay, so you wanted to inspire people, you wanted to actually bring this, but how did this happen? What was the click that made you go, this is what I want to do, this is what we're gonna do?
Yeah, it was actually a website. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm happy to share. So basically what happened, I was in university in business school, and I did these things called case competitions. So think of it like professional sports, but for nerds.
Okay.
So guys my age were playing basketball or soccer or rugby. Things you probably tell from looking at me aren't really my jam. And what I did instead is I applied the same competitive spirit to presentations. So in 3 years, I presented hundreds of times, coached dozens of people on public speaking, so I could get a job in corporate America, or I guess corporate Canada in my case. I'm from Montreal. Then after I graduated university, I just said, what do I do with my life now? Is there a way for me to contribute to society more? And I realized a lot of the public speaking information in the world is really bad on YouTube. Think about the way that you learned public speaking. You probably weren't on YouTube. You probably just kind of just did it over and over again until you got it.
Until I got it right.
Right. So for most people who are looking to learn, who are in that first chapter of life, who are scared just to take that mic for the first time, when they go on YouTube to learn from the teachers there, it's not really good. So I started making YouTube videos on the subject. Then one thing led to another, and here we are today.
That's really good, though. I like that. We all have to take the initiative to go after our dreams and our hopes, and sometimes we just stumble upon it. You've ever had that moment where you say, wow, that would be something cool for me to do? Well, you just stumbled on the something cool for you to do. Go ahead and do it. I love that too. Like you said, it's just kind of like 10 years ago, actually in 2006. So this is, shut up. It's more than 10 years ago. Anyway, so it's like 14. I'm old. Anyway, so 14 years ago, I started Dream Chasers Radio. It was in its infancy. Podcasting was very, very new, maybe a year old. And you'll never hear 2006 all the way to 2010. I took those down because they were horrible. And they were just friends, people talking. We were just talking. Anyway, so I got good over those first few years of doing this. And I'm like, this would be something cool to do. And I was like, I just said that. Okay, so I'm just going to do it. We have to realize at that moment where we say, this is going to be something cool to do, that is actually the joy that you need in your life to do something cool. And that's why I started this too. I mean, there are a couple of other reasons, but saying that and being, a public speaker, sometimes it just kind of, you just stumble into it, or whatever you want to be, or whatever you don't know that you realize you want to be until you say, wow, that would be something really cool to do. So tell me, about, when a person is not motivated, when they're looking for something, what is it that you find that's so common that it's just like you say it all the time?
Absolutely. For motivation, you're asking, Yaya?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here's my secret sauce to motivation. And it's
Oh,
very
I got a
different
sauce.
than everyone else
Not
out
only
there.
does he speak 3 languages, but he has a sauce.
Yeah, I saw you go on my website and but no, I'm just kidding. There's nothing for sale there. But anyways, the point I'm driving, okay, and this is coming from a guy who's still learning, but
Mm-hmm.
hopefully it adds value to people. I've always found, Yaya, that the quality of your life is solely determined by the quality of the questions that you're
Mm.
willing to ask yourself about life.
Mm.
Here's the issue with most people. They're not willing to ask the hard questions up front. As you
Yeah.
can tell from looking at me, I'm not very old, right? I'm clearly not in my 50s, right? So how
Mm-hmm.
did I figure all of this out so early? I think it's not because I'm special, not because I'm more important, not because I'm different, but because I chose to ask those questions early.
Right.
Questions like, what are you pretending not to know?
Mm.
If you had all the money in the world, how would you spend your time? Or better, if you died tomorrow, what would your funeral speech say about you? These
Hmm.
are questions that are free. These are questions that are available. They're out in the air. I just said them. You don't have to pay me a dime to get them,
Mm.
but you're not willing to answer them.
I
That's
am.
why
I
I know
actually
you
did.
are, but yeah, I know you are because you're Yaya. You say yes, of course. But the point I'm driving is the habit that I recommend people adopt is not meditation, it's not yoga, it's not eating all the right things. We all know that stuff. The
Mm-hmm.
real habit that leads to motivation and change is asking yourself one hard question about life every single day. And I'll give you a teaser. If you do
Mm-hmm.
that for a couple of months, you'll start to realize that nothing makes sense,
No.
right? Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you do and everything that other people do rather makes absolutely zero sense.
Yeah.
Think of this idea of retiring till 65. That's fine, save some money, but also understand that Steve Jobs, who had access to the best doctors in the world, he was a multi-billionaire, died at 56. And Kobe Bryant, who once again had all the money in the world, couldn't save himself and died at 41.
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman, head of Black Panther, did a bunch of movies, died at 43.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's other questions like, hey, by the way, you should get married, have 2.5 kids, not 2 kids, 2.5 kids.
I never
And
have a kid.
right, or two. And you
Okay.
you need to have like a white picket fence because you're not allowed to pick the color of your fence for some reason.
Really?
And you better have two cars, not one, because if you got one, you look like, like yeah, you're missing out on life. That's the point I'm driving. When you realize that all the rules don't make sense,
They don't.
you start to make your own rules.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
only way you start to make your own rules is by asking yourself questions about life that lead you to understand that none of the rules make sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, I love what you just said because you've explained a lot, but I don't think people get it. You know, we are programmed basically, from the ages, from the beginning, all the way to about 7 years old. You have no pre-programming in your mind. You don't know what to do, so you mimic. So all the questions that you have are the answers from other people that you programmed yourself with, that you automatically answer when the question appears. But is that really your answer, or is it an answer that you received that you've used the answer for all this time?
Absolutely. Completely agree with what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple of exercises I can recommend that are super easy for people who are, kind of listening to us and saying, well, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the easiest thing you can implement tomorrow if you don't want to ask yourself hard questions about life. Totally fine. Okay. The easiest thing you can implement, take a piece of paper and write your own definition of happiness.
Hmm.
What does it look like to you? And I always like to use myself as an example to demonstrate this. I dance alone in my basement an hour a day. I take mini
Mhm.
dance breaks in between my meetings. I have long yell fests with my friends about controversial subjects over dinner, despite the fact that other people are actually in the restaurant. And I can karaoke in 8 different languages. That's what I do.
Wow.
And I go clubbing, even if I don't drink, I just dance for 7 hours straight. That's my definition of happiness. So obviously, as you're listening to me, and I say that in an extreme way to like, so you kind of understand, not you, but the
Mhm.
audience, in the sense of, wait a second, I don't want to do that. This
Right.
dancing dinner for 7 hours, not for me. That's the point I'm driving.
Hmm.
Where's your list? Most people, Yaya, are using other people's lists. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, Yaya, not Yaya, but No has got a BMW, right? Or like a Ferrari. So I
Right.
might as well get that. Whereas I'm sitting here on a mattress speaking to you, despite coaching C-level executives for a living. And I'm just like, well, it doesn't matter to me.
Right.
That's the easy thing for you who's
Hmm.
listening, is make a list of the things that bring you happiness and just do that more.
There
That's
you go.
super easy. And if you want to go a bit harder, for those who want to, spice things up a bit, make this more challenging,
Hmm.
make a list of all of your controversial beliefs.
Mm.
What are the truths that you believe in that most people disagree with you on? I got that from Peter Thiel. The idea is you make a list of things that you think is true, that most people think is BS or not true. And it's through that thinking that you can start to develop cool ideas like this radio show or my YouTube channel.
Right. That's amazing. I love that. Have your own freaking list. What are you going to do? What kind of list are you going to have? Uh, is the list going to be controversial? Or is the list going to be pleasurable? Or is the list going to change? Because a lot of us have a lot of things to change. And that's okay too. It's okay too. So, again, where can people reach you?
Yeah, for those who want to get in touch, YouTube's the easiest way. That's MasterTalk in one word. And if you want to connect with me over there, that's the best way to reach me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it. And I think our listeners have a lot of writing to do.
Lot of writing. Or you could do a voice recording too. They both work.
Yeah. So thank you again so much. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. And you have some work to do. We got a list to make. Have you made your list today?
Mm.
Don't forget to dare to be different. Until next time, guys. Bye.